Welcome back, Logan. For this episode or installment of Math from Your Couch, what I'd like to do is take a look at factoring one more time, and just go over it, I guess, from the most basic level, as opposed to like thinking about it as you already know it. For those that already know how to factor, you might want to skip over and just go straight to the problems. So we have two types of factoring that I want us to focus on, but they're actually one and the same. It's kind of like this process of you just trying to find out, what multipliers to give you your polynomial. So the first thing I want to do is I want to take a look at number one. We're looking for a GCF. That means something that they all have in common. So when I take a look at this, the best way to do it, or the most fundamental way to do it, is to factor it out. So if I was to factor out 12, I could figure out that 12 is 6 times 2, and then 6 is 2 times 3. So I would say that 12 is 2 times 2 times 3. Now, if you don't believe me, you can multiply it. 2 and 2 is 4. And then I take the 4 multiplied by 3, I get 3. And then I go x, and then x, and then x, and then x. Right? So that's the factorization of that 12x to the power of 4 right there. Now we're going to do the same exact thing with the 60. 60 is 6 times 10, but then 6 is 2 times 3, and 10 is 2 times 5. So we're going to say 2 times 2 times 3 times 5 times x times x times x. Now, this is not the way that I would tell someone to factor after they already know the process, but some of you might have forgotten how to do this. All right, now, the greatest common factor is the greatest amount that they have in common. So what I want to do next is I want to see if I can find what they all have in common. So I'm going to highlight that. They have a 2 in common. They have another 2 in common. They have a 3 in common. That 5 is not in common. They have an x in common. They have another x in common, and they have a final x in common. Now you'll notice that there are some things that are left behind. For example, this guy is not in common, and this guy here is not in common. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take out what they have in common, and I'm going to multiply it out. 2, 2, 3, x, 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 or 12 x to the power of 3. That's what they had in common, times what they did not have in common. What is left, which is the x right here. So x minus, and then what they have left here, the 5. And that's how I would factor out our above binomial or polynomial. So 12x to the power of 3 times the quantity x minus 5. All right, now problem 2, we want to do the same exact thing, but you'll notice that they don't have the same thing in common. This guy has 2 x's, has 1 x, and has no x's. There are no x's in common. Next, this one has the number 1. This is 3. This is 40, but 40 is 10 times 4, which is 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. So they have nothing in common. So there's no GCF here. So what we're going to do is we're going to factor it based upon the number of terms you have, which is a trinomial. So we focus on the front, x times x, and then we focus on the back. 4 times 10 is the obvious one to me. And then I have 8 times 5, 2 times 20, and 1 times 40. All right, next, this right here, this sign tells me to subtract, so I'm going to subtract them. That's 6, that's 3, that's 18, and that's 39. Second thing is I need a positive 3, and that's ding, 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 this guy right here. I need the positive 3, but to get a positive 3, it would need to be 8 minus 5. 8 minus 5, so we're going to use x, and 8 minus 5, so we're going to go x with a positive 8, and x with a negative 5. And this right here is our factorization for the above trinomial, and this is pretty much what I need you to do. All right, if you have any questions, go ahead and email me or send me a message. Best of luck. Oh, I thought I'd say this. The next video is going to pick up from here and talking about how to simplify a rational expression that kind of uses number 1 and number 2. All right, talk